Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, we'll continue. Let me connect to sample superstore. So yesterday we were talking about filters, right? So we'll continue on that filter. There are different types of other filters are also there. Okay, so when we create filter, there are options also, various options we get. I'll just cover those first. Let's say I have state, sales, and I'll put profit into color. Okay, something like this. Let's say I want to see the average sales for each state. What I can do here is go to analytics and drag and drop this average line. So you see this table pane and cell is coming. So we have already covered what is table, what is pane, what is cell. So here I will put it for the entire table. Now that's the average of my state. I just wanted to show you like how you can bring in the average line. Okay, now let's say I will put let's say all right, let's say I will just remove this hierarchy for now. Okay, now all the fields are separate. Let's say I will put state now. Say okay. And so instead of state, let me use something else here. Let's say I'll put manufacturer. Okay, and state is a filter. Let me show the filter. City is filter, right? You can click on this and show filter. Automatically, it will also show up the filters. Let's say what else? Can bring in region also. Let's have these sort of filters: region, state, city. Let me change the order, proper order. So I'll just move that to top. So this is the hierarchy that is followed: region, state, city, something like that. Now let's say, now these things are so big, right? I mean, people have to scroll down and all those things. So what you can do here is to remove this sort of thing. Go to the drop down, customize. There is something called these kind of multiple values list is by default selected. So what I will do here is I will do a multiple values drop down. That is the most used formatting type of filter. Okay. So if you click on this, now you can see different states. Okay, now what you can do here is, now you see what problem it is can pose is, let's say you select each and everything, the changes starting to reflect, right? So this can be annoying to the user because they click and the sudden changes are happening, and in real time it might take little bit of more time because you will be working with more data. So in this case, normally what you should do is go to this drop down, go to customize and show this apply button. Okay, now when you turn down that apply button, when you go to drop down, you see at the bottom that option is available. So the moment you click or deselect or something, nothing is happening until unless you hit this apply button. So this is a good use. This is really good from a user experience point of view. So user will make their selections at once and they apply and all the changes will take place. So that is one thing you should always follow. Okay, now I'll do the same thing for others. Multiple values drop down, go to customize, show apply button. Okay, now let's say this region, you can again do the same thing, but there are options. If at all you want to show something as a single value list, right? You can do that single value list as a radio button. There is something called single value drop down also, where you can select only one thing at a time. You can do that as well. If you click on all the values will show. But let me make it single value list. And sometimes you may not want to show this all but button also. Go to customize, and if you deselect this, that all option will also go away. If you do not need that, you can do that. So there would be times users might ask, don't show that all button. So this is where you can change it. Okay, now what is happening? Let's say, okay, now let's say what I'll do here is I will select a particular state. I'll deselect this. Let's say I'll select Alabama and say apply. Okay, now if I go to the city, and let me do something like this, hide card, and I'll make it a multiple values list so I can show all the values. Now let's say I'll select all first. Okay, now you see I have all these cities available. For all the states, all the cities are available. Now let's say I'll select a particular state, let's say California, and say apply. Now you see there is no change happened to my city list. At least what I was expecting is I should see only the states, only the cities relevant to California. Because if I go to a news sheet and I will try to bring in state and city, I double clicked. So if I double click, if I put state and city, so and I will filter to California. You see how many cities are remaining? 81, right? For California, 81. There are so many cities. But here I can see everything. You see, at least it is starting with Anaheim something, right? But here I would see other values also, you see, along with that Anaheim. So basically my filter, which is city, is not showing me the values that are relevant to state. Okay, that are relevant to state. So in this case, what you can do is go to this filter drop down, and there is an option called only relevant values. The moment you click, you see it will only show the values that are relevant to state California. Right now, if I select something else, Colorado, now that list will change. You see, now I'm showing these cities for Colorado. So this is one option where you can show the values when one user selects only the values that are relevant to the state. So you can do the same for the others also. So normally by default, you will get these options like only relevant values and all values in database. Okay, all values in database means no matter what you choose in a particular filter, the other filter will show everything that is present. But when you change it to only relevant values, it will only show values that are related to, in this case, related to Colorado. Okay, now you see what happened. Colorado will belongs to west region. If I put it here, let's see if I remove this filter and I will bring in a region also, and I'll go to west, let's say. You would see, you see Colorado belongs to west region. So what is happening when I selected Colorado or any other city in the bottom filters, this filter is also getting filtered. So now if the user has to go back, they will have to clear all the filter. Then only they would see all the available values for region. So there is a workaround to avoid this. What you can do is, if you know that a certain set of fields are used as filter, so always try to see if you can create a hierarchy. Right, always try to see if you can create a hierarchy. Now how that will help you, let's say, let us first create a hierarchy. let's say I'll add a region, state, city, postal code. Now you see, now if I go to these filter drop downs, you would see additional value. You see, earlier we only had all values in database and the only relevant values. Now one more thing came up, which is all values in hierarchy. Now let's say if I click on this, all values in hierarchy, and also all values in hierarchy, and here also all values in hierarchy. And now I will select Colorado. Say okay. Now you see on top of the filter, last time what happened, it only showed west, right? So I had to go and clear the values and so that I could see all the regions. But when you make it a hierarchy, it works in a hierarchy. So your top filter will always show all the values and the subsequent filters will show the values that are related to one particular region. Now you see when I selected, let's say central, now nothing is showing up because earlier I had selected Colorado. Now you see there is a bracket placed around it. So Tableau is saying that for central region, there is no state called Colorado. So I will go to the drop down. I'll say electron. Okay, now, and here I will, if I just select a particular a state, let's say anything, let's say I'll select Indiana. Now everything is getting filtered and everything is showing me this all values in hierarchy. So this all values in hierarchy is much faster compared to only relevant values. So when you are doing something in Tableau or any other tool, let's say Power BI also, always you should consider these things like what will improve the performance and what will degrade the performance. Any questions on this? Interview, they will definitely ask you what is cascading filter, which is nothing but the only relevant values. So for this cascading filter, you can say like there are two options available for the cascading to happen. One is we can create a hierarchy, or if you're using directly fields, you can use this only relevant values. These two options are there. Any questions? Okay. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, if we choose only values related to the relevant values, sorry, okay, and if we select central, so it will show only the value which is in central region like this.
Yes.
And if we choose hierarchy, then it will show all the values.
No. So
Then
it
what the
starts
difference?
from, so that's what I'm saying. It starts from the hierarchy. Okay. Now we'll change everything to only relevant values. Okay. All. Okay. Now observe carefully what happened. The state Indiana, when it is selected. Okay. What happens? The values to the fields that are on the top of the hierarchy. Region is the top of the hierarchy, right? Now you see it is also getting filtered. But users may not like this. They would say, okay, I will select a particular value, but the top hierarchy should always show me all the values so that it will be easy for me to go back and select any other region. So in only relevant value, all the filters, all the fields tend to show you only the values that are pertaining to that particular field. Let's say Indiana means it is central region, so it is only showing central. Now let's say I will change it to all values in hierarchy. So now this filtering will happen in the hierarchy. So only when it comes down the hierarchy, then the values will be showing you the relevant values, not for the field that are present on top of the hierarchy. Let's say I selected Indiana, but still my region is showing me all the values, but central is selected and it is Indiana, but the bottom field, which is city, that is show me only cities that is related to state, Indiana.
Okay, it will filter hierarchy wise. Okay.
Hierarchy wise.
Okay, got it.
Not all the fields.
Okay, if we put relevant, then it will filter all the the fields which we have put
all
in.
all the fields that you use as a filter, and you have turned on this option only relevant values, it will filter all.
Got
So
it.
from a user experience point of view, this hierarchy thing is better. And also from a performance point of view also.
Otherwise, we have to remove, if we use the relevant, then we have to remove first that all the cities, then we have to go to region, then select.
Yeah.
Okay, got it, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Good question. Any other question on that?
So, sir, does it mean that every time we use multiple filters, we have to opt for either relevant or hierarchy, like, or else the result
Yes.
won't be right?
Yes. Either one of them. Otherwise, it will be confusing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sir.
Always try to see if you can create a hierarchy, if possible. Yeah. All right. All right. Now let's say I'll double click on state. And let's say I will show profit. The colors. So this is region. Now let's say I will create let's say I'll put city, then I will show you what I mean. Okay, and let's say I will show sales here, highest to lowest, something like that. And let's call it city. Let's say one more I'll create. Okay. Let's say I have something like this. Also, let me put something region into color so that we'll get a line for each. Maybe we can make it a stack. Okay. Now this is now let's create a simple dashboard on these three sheets that we created. So click on the dashboard option, and let's say I will show a dashboard title, and I'll say let's say sample dashboard. Let's give any font. Oops. Something like that. Just a simple one we are creating, nothing fancy. So region is here. So when you drag and drop this, it try to take up the area, right? So you can drop wherever you feel okay. This is my region. Let's say I'll put city to the right and also the area chart to the bottom. You see, it is asking me where I want to drop it. Right, but I want to put it at the bottom, so I'm not getting the proper placement. So what I need to do is, probably I need to get rid of one first, then I will bring in the area at the bottom, then I will bring in the city at the end. Okay, so that's what I wanted to create. Okay, so now you see the city is taking that top space. What I can do here is, well, I'll put a blank somewhere if possible. Not happening. So when you create a dashboard, right, there are some containers available. Otherwise, it will give you a lot of trouble. Okay, let's say I'll remove all of it. So go here and remove. Now this is my sample dashboard, and let's say I'll remove that. So now there are some these containers available. Let's say I'll put a vertical container, and I will put a horizontal container to the. See, it is still trying to take that entire space. I don't want that to happen. You see, it is taking that now. Okay, let me remove that container. Let me first bring a vertical container, whatever, vertical or horizontal, anything is fine. One more I will bring. Okay, is this not a container? So this is also I need to put in a container. So I will do a floating. When you do floating, like you can place it anywhere that you want. Let me remove this container. I'll start from the beginning. Let's say I'll put a container here. And now when you put container here and you want to drop something into that, just press shift and it will highlight the borders and drop your mouse. Okay, now that is there. And let's do the whole thing. Let me do that. Floating. It is a floating. Now you see there is no container available. There is no container. How do I know? Go to layout and something you it will show you like what there is something still. Remove container. Sample dashboard. Now there is no content. So in dashboard there is something called layout. In layout you will see like how the layout has been presented or what has been used in each sort of layout. Now this is only sample dashboard and this is what it is. Okay. Now let me bring in, let's say I'll make it floating and I'll bring in a horizontal container. Okay, I'll put it like this and I'll drop it. Hold down shift to drop floating objects. So that's what I did. And I'll select this and I'll call it distribute contents evenly so that even if you have, there could be times you can have multiple items in one. So that will distribute that evenly. Now let's say I'll put a vertical container. Now it's floating, so I can adjust where I want to drop and how I want to drop. So let's say I will put this here. Sheet region. So first I'll put region and I'll put area chart also at the bottom of that container. Now both are part of the container. So what I'll do, I'll just select the container, click on this drop down, select container vertical. Now this is my container. I can adjust the height, I can adjust the width based on whatever the, so now what I can do here, you can double click also on top to select the whole container. Click on this, distribute contents evenly. Okay. Now there is something which I don't need. There was something extra one. Now this is my vertical container. Vertical means this, you can place objects one below the other. Okay, now we need to bring in that city, right? So city is a single one. Whether you put a container or not doesn't matter. So I'll just drag and drop because it's just a floating one. So I can simply drag and drop like this. Okay. Now this has certain borders around it. Let me first remove the, you can have the borders so that each individual element will be separate. Now let's say this area chart, it doesn't have any border. So I can click on this, go to layout and layout, there is something called border. I'll turn it on and make it a light shading so that it will not have a lot of problem. So you make it same wherever, whatever you are doing. Also this one, let's put a border around it. Okay, and here also there is no border, so I'll put a border around it. I'm removing the border from inside the chart, so only one border is present. Okay, now both the I have a chart, okay, that has all the necessary things for us to work. Let's say what I want to do here is, now the user says, now in this chart, let's say we don't have any filters. User says I want this sheet to act as a filter. If I click on a particular state, I should see values relevant to that. Okay, now how do I do that? If I go to the drop down, there is something called the use as filter option. Okay, now there is something called use as filter. Now the moment now you go to these sheets, right, there is no filters also. You see this region, city, area, we don't have any filter. Now you go to this drop down, click on this use as filter. Now what would have happened? Now you see there is still nothing. Okay, now the moment you click, let's say I click on a city called California. Okay, now you see it is filtered. All the other charts is filtered to show these values for California, which I have selected. Now if I go to the other sheets, now you see, now there is an action filter that is placed. Action filter, you will go to the area also, but in region it won't be there because this is the source sheet and these are the target sheets, right? So what is happening is basically it is creating an action. Now let's see that action what it has been created. If I go to this dashboard, now if I clear it also, it will still be there. Once it is applied, this dashboard filter, it will be there. Now you can work anytime. Let's say you can just filter. I just accidentally clicked on that keep only. So what I will do here is, if I go to this, uh, you see that that thing has happened. So I'll just remove this from the region. So I'll go to the everything. Okay, now what would have happened here is, if I go to dashboard and actions, now you see one filter has been created because I chose that option use as filter. Now what is it is doing is, so this is a generated filter. Now if you edit this, it will give you few more options. Now what is happening, it is telling you like how to filter and when to filter. So source sheet is my region and my target sheets are, you can deselect region also because that's fine. Target sheet is area and city. And when this works, when I select, and what happens when I clear this selection, it is showing me all values, right? When you clear this selection, let's say okay again. So I clicked on, let's say, this particular state, Texas. Now I want to clear the selection. So you just click anywhere outside. So that's where you are clearing the selection. And when you clear the selection, it will show up everything. There are a few more options. Let's say. Now there is something called run action on hover menu. All these options are. Let's say I'll select hover and say, okay, what happens? Now you see, the moment I hover my mouse, I'm not clicking, but I'm hovering. So based on my hover, it is showing you the values. But this is little annoying. Don't do this hover action because users might be moving their mouse somewhere in the dashboard. So when the mouse goes over that particular sheet where you have used that hover action, it will try to filter other sheets. So this will be annoying. This will be time consuming unnecessarily. So normally we only go ahead with this select. Run action on select, run action on select. So that is the safe thing to do. Now in menu, what happens if you click on this and say okay? If you click, nothing will happen directly. It will tell you like okay, you need to click on this. The moment you click on that, it will filter. So that menu option, right, you can give it a meaningful name also. So that menu, when I select, it gives me additional time, right? So I can say like click to filter other. Let's say okay and okay. Now let's say I'll select this. Now you see that thing will come up. So users will know like what is going to happen when they click on this. So now it is going to filter. So these are the one sort of action. This is a dashboard action filter. Okay. Now let's say if I go here and I will okay, anyways, we have changed that also. So let me dashboard action, let me remove that first. Now you see there is no action. When I click, nothing is happening. So how I did that initially, I went to this drop down and I selected this users filter. So this is one option where you can use one particular sheet as a filter for all the different sheets of the dashboard. Also, you can go to this dashboard action and you can build it from scratch. You can go to this add action, and these are the different types of actions available. So from the sheet directly, you can do a filter action, but there are so many other actions. So how to do that filter action? Let me do that again. Select that filter, then select your source sheet, then select your target sheet, then select how you want that action to have run. And what will happen if you clear the selection? Let's say in this case, we will show all the values. Say okay, say okay. Now the same action will happen and the same action would have been created. This time we have created it. Now when I go to that dashboard action, it will not say anymore generated. Earlier it was generated because I did it from the sheet automatically by just clicking few options. But here what I did, I created it manually by going into dashboard actions filter, and then I configured my filter how it should work. So this is the filter action. Any questions on this? These are very useful things. It can improve a lot of interactivity of your chart. Okay, now let me remove this. Let me go to some other sort of actions. Let's say actions. Add action. Now there is something called highlight. Let's see what happens when we do that highlight. Same, I will use sources region and target is this, and run select on run action on select. Let's say okay. You see, I clicked on this state. Nothing is happening, right? Nothing is happening because Tableau thinks something might be missing, so it is not able to highlight. Here I am clicking on state, but here it is what is used city and here is region. Let's say I'll go to this sheet, and here what I will do is, let's say I'll put state into details. Okay. Now the moment you put state into details, now the state is also part of this sheet. Now let's say if I go to this and I click on this, you see now it is highlighting. You see this? The highlighting is happening already. You see? It will be happening somewhere. You see? So now you know like why that highlighting was not happening initially, because that state column was not part of the sheet for that highlight to work. So that should be present. But in filter action, that is not required. It will just filter based on that. But here it has to highlight. It will not filter. So the difference between filter action and highlight action is filter action will filter your sheets, but the highlight action, it will keep the values. Also, it will just highlight the values that are relevant so that you can get a relative view compared to other cities. The highlighted cities, how it is performing, how they are performing. You will get that view. Okay. This is a highlight action. Any questions? Okay. Now I'll go to actions again. I'll remove this and I'll go to add action. Now there is something called go to URL. Okay. Go to URL means you can navigate to different dashboards. Okay. From the source sheet. Let's say when I click on a particular state, I want to open the Wikipedia pages for all the states. Okay. So let's say I'll just open a Wikipedia page. Let it open, guys. Just give me 1 second. I'll be back. Sorry guys, I'm back. Okay, now let's say I will say California wiki. So when I open that California wiki, right, what happened is blank, nothing about it. Okay, so now what you see, this part will remain definitely constant for different states. Let's say I'll just change this name to uh, give me a name, state name, let's say Florida. Hit enter. Now you see that part is remaining still constant. The only variable is this. So what I can do is in the URL action, you can, we want, and also let's say the requirement is when the user clicks on this, it should navigate to the wiki page. So what I will do here is go to dashboard actions, and I'll remove this add action, go to URL, and let's say my source sheet is my region. It should happen on select. Now there are options, new tab if no web page is new browser tab. Okay, it depends what you want to do. Now enter the URL. I entered the URL. Now you see the last part is the variable part. So what I will do is I will get it from my sheet, insert and state. This state field is basically coming from my sheet. Now you see by default it is trying to give me something, and there is something called data values. Leave it, don't worry about it. Let's say okay. The moment I click on OK, now if I, let's say I'll select any state, let's say Texas. The moment I click, now it is now navigating to the dashboard. So this is very useful in so what happens, this use case of this would be when I was working for Wells Fargo, that time they had a few requirements on the to show the to create it basically dashboard that will show the tickets. So when you work in IT organization, basically mostly IT infrastructure department, there would be a lot of tickets, right? Incident tickets, change tickets, work orders, all those things are created, right? Normally, let's say your Outlook is not working. So what you do, you raise a ticket to the IT team, right? You raise an incident, right? That is an incident. So they wanted to see like how many such incidents are created and all those things. Based on that, they want to create a dashboard, and they were storing all those data into SQL Server. So this came up handy because what happened, the incident number, the example that I showed, what used to happen is the only that incident number used to change, and rest all things used to remain the same. So what they wanted is when they click on that particular incident number in a dashboard, it was a tabular report. So when they click on that incident, they want that to navigate them to the portal, the portal where they can see the details of the ticket. So that is one use case that was used, this URL action. Any questions, guys?
Can we filter the cities also simultaneously with clicking on the URL, or like if I click on, yeah.
You can. You just need to set that up. You can.
Okay, we just have, we can combine these things.
You can combine
These particular two actions, like if I click on the Florida, so it will navigate me to the Florida Wikipedia page, and simultaneously it will filter the cities also.
Yeah, it can. So let's say you just need to add one more action. So let's say action, add action, filter, select, okay, something like that. Let's say okay. Now say okay. Now let's say Florida. Okay, now I'll go back. So I clicked on Texas. You see, only the Texas related cities are showing up. Now if I clear, now it is coming back. So you can have multiple actions at the same time.
Okay.
Now what else we have here? Now there is something called go to sheet. Okay, go to sheet. Now what is happening? Let's say one example. Let's say, so we have city right there. Let's say I'll put product names. into rows and the sales, something like that. And this is one sheet. Okay. Now I will put it in a, you can put in a sheet also. Now let's say it's a different dashboard I'll create, and I'll say, let's say detailed analysis, semi bold, something like that, detailed analysis. And in this I'll put that sheet 6. Now it's a floating, right? So that's why it is asking me to adjust. Sometimes this also works good. So depends like what you have on the dashboard. So let's say, just bring it here. So what my requirement is now, let's say I'll unhide this title. I don't need that. Detailed analysis by product. Now what should happen is basically, let's say I will click on the particular city. It should navigate to this sheet 6. Okay, it should navigate to the sheet 6, and I should be able to see only the relevant product names for that. Okay, now it is easy to set up, but let's say what challenges we might face. I'll go to the again dashboard action, and I'll go to sheet, and let's say not region, this is city, and my target sheet is, let's say, you see, you can go to individual sheets or you can go to dashboards also, but I have chosen a dashboard here. I'll tell you the region. Let me put dashboard 2 here. I'll say okay and say okay. Okay, now let me click on a particular city. Now I have gone to the dashboard. Now in real time, how it will look, let me just hide all sheets. So when you hide all sheets, so it will hide all the sheets that are used in a particular dashboard. If you are doing right click on a sheet and hide all sheets, now it will look like this. Now just think that the sheet 1 and sheet 2 are not existing. Only these two are existing. Now, and in the real time, it will look like this. Now the user want to go back to the original sheet. So probably if you have not turned these tabs on, user will be stuck here. Okay. So what you can do here is you go to this dashboard and there are some objects here. There is something called a navigation object. Okay. What we did is we turned on that go to sheet action. When I clicked on it, it took me to the dashboard 2. Now the user is struggling to go back to the dashboard 1. So what I'll do is I will make use of one of this navigation of one of these objects, which is a navigation object. Now let me put it here. Okay. Now I'll put it here. Now I'll go to this edit button. So in this edit button, it will ask you like what you want to do. Let's say you can choose to have a text button or an image. So let's say I want to go back to the home page. Let's say home page is my dashboard 1. Just think like that. So what I can do is if I choose text, let's say I'll say go to home page. I can like do like this, or in case if you want to use a image instead of a home page text, you can choose this image button and it will ask you to choose an image. So it depends like what you want to do. Let's put an image. Okay, let's say home page icon. I always go to this flat icon. So I'll go to flat icon to get the icons. Flaticon.com, and I will say home page. Hit enter. Now it will give you different icons of home page. So there are few ones where you will not be able to use it, but there are so many ones that you can use it. Let's say I'll get this. Okay, so if you want something, or this one, let's say there is something called free download. Okay, do a free download and it will download a PNG. Okay, always use .pngs in your dashboard in case if you have to use images. They are lightweight and they are better. Let's say this is my location of this home page. Okay, let's say copy this. I'll go to dashboard, choose, and I'll put that location. It is already there. Today 13 I put that. And let's say apply. Now you see that home page icon is coming. Let's say anything else. Okay.
So navigate to.
I didn't do that.
No, sir.
And that's why there is a gray option is coming. Where it is. I mean, now the moment I click on this, now that gray option should go away. If you don't have any action, right, navigate to, there will be gray option, gray background will be there. So that is something will tell you whether you have put a navigation or not. Now I put a home page button here. Now the moment I click on it, it will take me back. Okay. Now what is happening if I click on this, let's say a particular city. If I click on a particular city, it is taking me to that particular detailed analysis page. But one thing you would notice, this is not getting filtered, right? That is very important. That also should get filtered when you move, right? Otherwise, there is no point coming to the whole thing. And again, you may have to provide filters for the user, but it should happen when I click on New York City. I should see only the product names that have been sold in New York City, right? So how to do that? So now this go to sheet is happening. Now I'll go to the dashboard again, actions. Let's put a filter action. Now there is a filter action. Let it be there. I'll go to this filter again. And this time, and now you see, you notice one thing, that sheet 6 is nowhere appearing, right? In dashboard 2, I used sheet 6, if you remember, right? It is not coming up because Tableau thinks that it will only filter the sheets that are present in this current dashboard, but not that are present in different dashboards. So what I can do here is probably sheet 6, that's my target sheet. Okay, and it will happen select and show all values. Let's say okay. Okay, now look at these values. What are the values? It is 61,600. Some values just remember. Now I'll click on New York City. Still not happening. It's just coming to the sheet. Huh? Wait, we'll fix this. Now you see that those things are coming up, but okay, even though I don't keep all, that should show up. Now region and from dashboard to sheet 6. Let's try that. Let's say okay. So when you are in this mode, it will not go. You have to go to the presentation mode if you want to go back to see whether that actions are working or not. Let's see now what is happening. Still not working. Okay, good. Now this is giving us some opportunity to fix this sort of things. Okay, dashboard actions. Edit. See, I'm doing a very big mistake. I'm doing it from the region sheet, which is, and I'm clicking on city. So could be a problem. Now I'll click on this. Now you see it is filtering. Got it, right? What was the mistake I was doing?
Yes, sir.
And nobody told me also. Now here, what happened? We used two actions. One is go to sheet action and also filter action. And then also we placed a navigation button where I can navigate to the home page from the detailed page. Okay. So one more action we have done. Now there are two more things, change parameters and change set values. These are two very big topics. Very big topics. For change parameter, first we need to understand what is parameter. For change set values, we need to understand what is a set, and which we will do in the next class. Okay, for now, I think we have covered enough for today for you to go and practice. And please start working on that metadata. I've been telling it for long. Don't think of any visualization, just create those tabular reports as it is. Okay. Any questions before we wrap up for today? All right. If there are no questions, thank you guys. Thank you for joining. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.